Hey y'all, good morning. I have two apologies to make right out of the gate. Uh, my first one, since there's probably nobody in the chat yet, is the most minor one. It's for not being here last week because I was in Detroit. I was out there with my buddy Dave Friedman and helping him out with a show that he put on at the Harpo's concert venue out there, and it was a lot of fun. But I was traveling on Sunday to get back to LA, so I'm sorry that I wasn't here last Sunday. It was the first one I've missed, I think. No, I missed one more, I think, but in almost 30 weeks. Because I do enjoy this. I like to be here. But yeah, I was in the air. John from Detroit is in the chat. Yeah, anyways, apologies. And my second apology, I'll wait for just a second because it's got to do with my PledgeMusic thing. We made a little mistake, so I'll tell you guys about that in a second. But we're going to fix it. Was that Miles Teller on your Instagram? I'm not sure. Is there a photograph? That's from Tylenol 88. I don't know Miles Teller. Greetings from Brazil, and we've got Germany in the house. Get 66. Greetings from Norway. Yeah, Adam EVH. Any touring in France? Not right now that I know of. I sure would love to go back, though. Who knows? Maybe next year or something. I've been drinking espresso for like an hour, and I'm not waking up. I'm hoping it's not decaf. That would just be a cruel, evil joke. Good morning, Jennifer. Any thoughts on Forte-style cabinets? Avatar is releasing them. I don't know much about those cabinets, to be honest. So I haven't got a formed opinion on that. Sorry. I'm sorry. Jennifer saying, what were you doing last night? I was jamming at Lucky Strike last night. I went down and played a couple tunes. It was Nuno Betancourt's birthday party, I guess, last night at Lucky Strike. So his band played the second set, and I played in the third set with some friends. JPP AGE22. Sorry, I can't pronounce your handle there. Says, looking forward to the album. Thanks. Yeah, we listened to it on Monday. We had a little listening party, and it was a lot of fun. Let's see. Tylenol 88 says, have I played the Ecstasy Blue Mini? I have not. I would hope it's the same. That's one of my favorite overdrive pedals, the original blue. Love it. BB says, are you doing any concerts this summer? I'm going to Japan to tour. So yeah, I'll be over there playing. But not for my record or anything. The darker the roast, the lower the caffeine, says Vincent. Vincent knows his coffee, I know that. Yeah, I don't know. This is I got these, I got an Nespresso machine. I got some capsules for it that aren't from Nespresso, and I feel tired. So you can probably hear it in my voice. Like, I'm not waking up. I don't know. You have to make a real pot. Love the Moore review, says Q-Stick. Can I use it without a computer? Yeah. Yes, you can use it without a computer. The computer is only necessary if you want to load it with your own impulses, and that's the only time that you would actually... You can also do editing and stuff, but you can do that stuff in the pedal as well. Like, changing the graphic EQ and the microphones on there included, IRs, that kind of thing. But if you want to load IRs into it, you have to use a computer, but it's super easy. And so you'd only have to plug it in once and do that, get the ones in there you like, and then away you go. It's a really great pedal, that little Moore pedal. I have it right here somewhere. Here it is. There it is. Super tiny. If you guys didn't see the video I made of this week, one fun thing I did was I bought some acoustic impulse responses from a company called 3 Sigma, like the number 3 and then the word Sigma, and I loaded them in here, and they have some nice ones on their site, and you can really change the sound of your, transducer or sound hole equipped acoustic electric guitar into something that's much more like a mic'd up acoustic by doing that. And it really sounded good, I thought. But anyway, it's so small, and it's like $149 or something. It's super cheap, this thing. It's like, how can you afford to be without one? Yeah, if you like speaker sims and IRs and all that stuff. Going back up in the chat here a little bit. I've got 124 people online. So I guess I should just mention the thing that I wanted to say is that I woke up today to it's like a bit of a headache, a bit of a problem, which is that we sent out some of the PledgeMusic stuff for people that got in on the pre-sale, and we neglected to sign the right things. So we've sent out some mini Riot pedals and pickups. And in the pledge package, it says signed pickups as well as signed CDs and stuff. Well, we screwed up on some of them and realized that we were supposed to sign the gear as well as the CDs. The CDs will go out all signed. That's not an issue. But if you got in on it, there's about, 20 people or something like that, where I was supposed to sign the mini Riot pedals and sign the back of the pickups. Didn't happen. We neglected to do that, and that's our mistake. So what we're going to do is send out an email and just figure out how to make it right. Basically, if you have to, if you're one of those people and you definitely want that signed, we're totally going to do it for you. You can send it back to me, and we'll sign them, send it back to you, and we'll take care of the postage and everything like that. It's our mistake, so we'll just make it right. Or maybe there's some other novel thing we can come up with, like I'll, write signed cards or something like that and send them out to people. We're just going to kind of let people dictate what they want us to do in order to fix it, because we screwed up. So I really apologize if you're one of those people. Maybe you won't care if it's signed or not, but if you do, we're going to take care of it and figure it out. Okay. So let's see here. Stupid question from a newbie to IRs. No question is stupid. It's okay. Q-Stick says, how do you go from the Moore radar to the monitors? Well, you could really just take a 1/4 inch out and go right into... So a lot of consumer level studio monitors, they'll have like an RCA unbalanced in, so you could use like a 1/4 inch to RCA cable, for instance, to plug right into a little powered studio monitor. You just need the right cable, really. Just come 1/4 inch out of it into whatever. Anything special to hook 2 monitors up? Well, I guess you could use a little mixer or something. Like come 1/4 inch out of it into like one of those little, something super small, like a little Behringer, like, 4-channel mixer or something like that. And then you could come out of that mixer into the 2 monitors. And if that mixer has an aux send on it, you could even add effects. But I digress. But yeah, you could hook up like a stereo pedal or something to the aux send on the mixer, and then blend in a little bit of like an H9 or something, and actually use it for reverb and delay. That'd be cool. But yeah, essentially it's just a 1/4 inch out, and you can run that out right into whatever you've got. Hope that makes sense. Mr. Guitar Rockman says, waiting desperately for the smaller PT amps. They are coming. They're coming. Push John a little bit. I know. He's got so much on his plate these days. He's busy. Yeah, Kevin's actually working on my amps, newer amps. Kevin, his son, who's like a genius, and he's really, really good at the laying things out in the computer. So like when you gotta map out the boards in the amp and stuff like that, where everything's gonna go, he's got it all, like it's this crazy like 3D imaging stuff where he can completely map out the design of something, and you can look at it in 3 dimensions and stuff and make sure it's exactly the right size before you build it and stuff. It's really cool. So he's working on that. What phaser do I use on my board? I've got a Phase 95 right now, the little guy, the little Dunlop. Love it. It's great. BB says, love your work with Don Henley. Do you still keep in touch with him? No, I haven't talked to him since the tour kind of ended. The last one I did. What happened with Don was that he wanted to play more dates and book a tour, and I was in Japan for about another week. He wanted to start rehearsing for his Cass County tour. And I was like, geez, I'm not, I think it was like August 23rd or something I was coming back. He wanted to start on August 15th or 16th. And at that point, he just said, I got to get someone else, man. My schedule's too tight. And I was like, I'm really sorry. And so I couldn't couldn't do that tour. It was kind of a bummer because it was a great record and I would have loved to have done that tour. But anyway, since then I haven't been doing it. Love the tone on the new single, says Joey. Thank you. Actually remixed it for the record. So there's a new mix of it on the record. So the record is coming out to all the pledge people that got in early on May 31st. And then it'll be released 2 weeks later to every, iTunes and Amazon and all that stuff, and streaming and all that stuff. So you'll be able to check it out on June 15th. Yeah, so it's coming pretty quick. Do you still have your black Les Paul Standard, says Tylenol? Yeah, I do. I thought you meant my custom, but then I saw you said standard, and you saw me play it with Ian Thornley. Yeah, I still have that guitar. I haven't used it. It's actually a really nice Les Paul, and I haven't used it a lot for years, but it's a really good guitar. I should use it more. Just a straight up black standard from like 2011 maybe, or 10. Well, I'd be coming over to gig in the UK. I would love to. Not sure. See what happens. I have to go to Japan to tour in the summer, and then in the fall, the record will have been out for a couple of months. We'll see if there's any interesting clinics or that kind of stuff for the fall, maybe. I am supposed to go to GitCon still, I think, in the fall, so I'll be over that way. Let's see here. Mr. Campbell here says, hi from sunny Scotland. Great to catch this live. Any tips for combining a multi-effects unit with traditional pedals? Multi-effects unit, do you mean something like the H9 or like a rack mount multi-effects unit? I used to use the Axe effects, for instance, in the effects loop of my amp, and then I'd use all my pedals with the switcher in front. That would be something I would do. And then you can control the Axe effects via the switcher, like I use Musicom Lab switchers, or G System was another way I did it. Yeah. And now you've got things that are kind of blurring the line, like I guess the Boss, the little, what's it called, the MS3 or whatever. It's a multi-effect, but it's also got pedal loops in it. The Helix does that too. Really, you can use it as a multi-effects and then plug pedals into the effect loops. So there's a few different ways that you could do it. If you've got a more sort of detailed question, go ahead and ask, and I'll see if I can, as far as the units you want to use, I'll see if I can answer. T. Crane says, Nuno is always fun to watch and listen to. He's an amazing guitar player. Amazing musician in general. Let's see. Okay, moving down a little bit. What's my thought on the Dark Matter TC pedal from Tim Russell? The only time I played it was at TC when I was working there with Tor. It sounded good. I guess there's some sort of demos of it where, recent TC stuff I did where I'm playing through it. It sounded good to me. It's hard to say because I didn't play through my own rig and stuff, so. But it seemed like a really good pedal. I know they're not expensive. Any ideas on Bogner Ecstasy Mini's release day? No, sorry, I don't know that. And Jennifer says, thanks for the listening party. Really looking forward to listening more closely. Thank you. Yeah. Getting some liner notes to see all the players. Yeah, it's quick liner notes because I just did a simple CD sleeve. It's not like there's like a 4-page thing in there or something. So it's all on the back. But everybody's on there. Was the TC electronic pedal board given away? It was given away. And they announced it, I think, about a week ago or a week and a half ago. And so, yeah, it's been given away. I should see it here, 1 second here, really quick. I'll see if I can find the name of the person, because this would be a good time to kind of announce that. I get a lot of emails from TC, so it might be difficult for me to find. Oh, their pedal board competition. They've announced it. The board got sent out today. Oh, but they didn't tell me who won in that. Well, sorry, I don't have the fella's name that won the. I think they did tell me, but didn't tell me actually who won it. Sorry. But if you didn't hear about it, I guess you didn't win. Apologies. We'll do another one. Give you another chance. Let's see here. Crescencio Torres says, "Hey Pete, I met you at the Hollywood Bowl. I am the Mexican guy." What's up? Where was I at Hollywood Bowl? Was it the... I'm trying to remember what I saw at Hollywood Bowl last. Maybe Jeff Beck? Probably. I think that's the last time I was there, which was awesome. That was a little while ago, though, now. It was 2016, I think. Hello from Holland, says Ben. What's up? What do I do for exercise, says Christopher. I run like a couple miles and do free weights like 3 times a week, basically. Although I've been slacking because I've just been slacking. I got to get back into it this week before I go away. I'm going to do it today, actually. Plans to go do that after we're done here. How many signature guitars you have made for yourself? You know, I have one of each color. So I have a black one, a gold one, and a blue one. And my black one's actually not even quite accurate because it's the original prototype for my signature model. So it doesn't have the pickup rings on it and a couple other things that we changed for the production version. But I don't really feel like, you know, it'd be greedy to ask for another one or something, I feel like. I mean, maybe I could just have... Well, I don't think they can modify it to put the rings on it. But I guess it's kind of cool having the only one with no rings or whatever. But I wish it did, actually. I just like the look with the rings. But yeah, basically one of each color is what I have. Donnie says, "Hi Pete from San Diego, great show on Tone Talk." Thanks. Yeah, that was fun the other night. It was good. We kept it short and sweet. I'll probably do that today too, just like an hour and a half. But Tone Talk's always fun with Dave and Mark. It was fun. That was Friday night. I did Dave Friedman's Tone Talk show. Any recommendations on a delay with a small physical footprint? The flashback is a mini. Have you got anything here? I've got a little echo pedal here. That's another. Yeah, there's one. This is from F Pedals. So this is like a tape delay. It's real colored and just kind of does that, you know, sort of degrading echoplex kind of thing. So that's nice. F Pedals. And I would recommend the flashback because it's so tiny, and then you can put whatever you want in there. As far as here's an old original flashback. It's like all the tone prints that you can load in the flashback, you can load in the minis. So it's very versatile and super small. Probably have a hard time trying to beat that. Tylenol says, heading to LA in the summertime, want to check out some cool guitar stores. Any recommendations? I would go to definitely True Tone Music in Santa Monica is amazing, and they got an incredible guitar and pedal selection and amps. They have a big Fender showroom there. It's cool. But just every pedal under the sun. And it's nice to go to Santa Monica. You can go out there, go to the beach, have lunch or dinner or whatever, go to True Tone. Pretty cool. Other stores, California, I think it's called California Vintage Guitars, cool. It's a really nice shop, kind of in Van Nuys, close to Sherman Oaks. LA Vintage, is that what it's called? LA Vintage Gear, Cliff's shop, I believe. It's in Burbank. That's really cool. What else for stores? The big Guitar Center in Hollywood's always fun to go to, and sometimes they have fun stuff in the vintage room. What else? I'm trying to think of some others. Norm's. You should go to Norm's. It's cool. Wearing the t-shirt. Norm's Vintage Guitars, Reseda. I think it's kind of Reseda, or it's not Encino, or Tarzana. Maybe it's Tarzana, technically. Anyway, West Valley. Go to Norm's. Yeah. If you hit all those, you'd have it pretty well covered, I would say. That's a great question from GRE. How would the Acoustic IR sound with an electric guitar with piezo pickup? Good. It'll help that. If you see, like, Alex Lifeson, I played Closer to the Heart in the video. I thought of that because Alex actually does that did that when Rush was playing. You'd see him playing, like, I think a Les Paul or something, and it had, you know, one of those pickups in the bridge. and he was using, I think, the Axe effects with maybe an acoustic IR in it to get that, you know, real 12-string sound, and then he didn't have to you know, switch when he went to the electric part. It works. Yeah, try. It's surprisingly pretty cool. I did it the other day in the video for the little Moore pedal, just using my electric guitar pickups. You know, it's okay. It doesn't sound great, but it's like, yeah, at a gig or a cover gig or something, if you're just doing one tune that you need a little acoustic part for, maybe it's fine, you know, in the mix. But yeah, with the piezo, like a Fishman Power Bridge or something like that, it'll really sound cool. Let's see. Oxen says, happy Sunday, and he's curious what string gauge I use and how I ended up with that gauge. Just 10s, and I ended up starting to use 10s. To be honest, I'd probably dig 9s, or 9.5s. But I use 10s just because I like the tone. It's not right for everything, actually. Sometimes thinner strings are better for some things, but basically, the 10s just are a nice balance of, you know, bendability and all that, and then also good tone, I find. Yeah, when you go thinner, sometimes it sounds thinner to me, especially on the thin strings. It just gets, you know, the high strings, it gets a little weird. Yeah, BB says, do I sell on eBay? I thought I saw a guitar. I haven't sold anything on eBay for years. I have an eBay account, but I haven't sold anything for a long time. Pat says, do I still plan on doing the AC15 in the zone video? I do. I'm not going to be able to do it before I go away on tour, but I did a kind of amps in the zone style video at TC because they had these two great amps there, an old AC30 and a JMP. And so I basically did the same kind of video, and that's coming out pretty soon. I saw the edit of it this week, and it's really cool. It's like we just dial up their old JMP 100 watt and then also dial in the AC30, and then I play them both at the same time, actually. And it's really off the cuff, and the AC15 is actually maybe even a little bit too dirty in the video, I think. But it's cool because I just did it like on the fly, one take or whatever, and played some rock riffs through it and stuff, and got the amps. It was loud. It was like I had the JMP 100 watt up to about 4 on the master, and the AC30 is 30 watts. You know, I had it on, probably running it on 6 or something. So both amps in stereo. It was cool. So that video will be out pretty soon. It's basically the same kind of video, and it's a great AC30. It's a 60s, you know, like a 64, 65 or something like that, and sounded just great. T Crane says, that's awful, but at least you're trying to fix it. Yeah, no, we're going to fix it with the pickup thing. So anybody that just joined here, I was saying that I realized today that we sent out some of the pledge stuff not signed that was supposed to be signed. Some mini Riot pedals and some pickups. So now we've got an issue because, you know, we have to make that right. So we're basically, I had my partner Dennis send out an email to everybody and say, basically what he wants to do. You can either send us the stuff back, I'll take care of it and sign it, send it back, and we'll pay for all the postage. Or maybe there's some other novel thing, you know, I'll write you a card or something like that and send it to you. I'll go buy you a wedding card or something, right? I don't know, something novel. So we're going to figure out a way to make it right and just take care of everybody. It's probably about 18 people or 20 people, something like that. And I've just got to, you know, whatever, we're going to leave it up to people, give them some options on how to fix the issue. These are the PledgeMusic campaign people that bought mini Riots and pickups. We made a mistake and sent some of them out without signatures. So you should have them over the next week. And yeah, we'll basically it was an oversight, just trying to, like, it's been kind of like crazy trying before tour and everything, and then with some other stuff I got going on, finishing the record, doing the party last Monday, sending everything out, and we just screwed up, basically. It's like, oh yeah, that's what is included in that. We thought in the packages, we didn't double check, basically, in the packages that we were supposed to sign pickups, pedals, and CDs. And, you know, I actually asked Dennis and said, like, what am I supposed to sign? And he said, it's just the CDs. And I went, okay, and, you know, okay, and then we're boxing it, like, because we boxed everything and actually sent it out, you know, it was me and him working together. So And I didn't double check. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't think that's right. But I didn't trust my gut and my instincts. And so, anyway, that's what happened. But we'll fix it, whatever it takes. So it'll just take a minute. I apologize. I'm falling apart. No, I just made a mistake. Let's see. Josh says, have you tried Tone Junkie's profiles for the Kemper yet? I haven't. No, I haven't. I haven't tried a lot of new Kemper profiles in a while. I know there's just a ton out there now. STL Tones, and Michael Britt probably has more I haven't checked out. To be honest, I have so many Kemper profiles that I don't know how many. It's just like, you know, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds on my Kemper. It's like, you know, Michael sent me some amazing AC30 ones a while ago, which sound great. I've got mine I love that I made of SL68 and 71 Marshall and then some great sounding clean ones I like to use, and it's like, I don't know, it's kind of all there. I don't know how many more I would need. Rami says, do I have any challenges with the Moore software? Yeah, you weren't able to load IRs on a Mac with their software. Yeah, I had that issue as well. The new software seems to work fine. So the old one was dodgy, and then they said, oh, we're sorry, we're working on it. And they sent me an updated version. Actually, I think I just downloaded it off their website. So maybe go try and download it again, the latest version. It seemed to work fine with I'm running kind of latest operating system, and it worked fine. Do I ever use multi-effects pedals? If so, it would be nice to see a video on how to dial in a good tone with these types of units. For example, the Zune G5N, Line 6 Pod 500. Well, I have the Helix, and you mentioned Helix as well. Yeah. It'd be nice to see a video. I mean, basically, the first thing I do with the Helix is generally I like to use my own impulse responses, so I'll load those in, and then I'll just find one thing I could recommend is just stick to a few good amp models. Dial them in and get your core kind of like clean to dirty. Find the 4 or 5 you like and be like, all right, there's my core tones. And maybe make templates where you've got like clean, edgy, crunch, lead. There's a few different amps, you know, and you make those, boom, there's your core raw guitar tones. And then just decide what pedals that you would normally have on a pedal board or for stereo effects, you know, post. And decide whether or not you want to run in series or parallel, and just kind of build a template with each of those clean, dry, raw amps. And that's kind of how I do it, I guess. You know, so I'll usually have a compressor, an overdrive, maybe a fuzz in front, a wah, phaser sometimes, possibly vibrato, you know, vibe. That would be like kind of core stuff in front. Post, I'll usually have a delay block, a reverb. Sometimes I'll run them in parallel, and that's it, really. You know, either before or after the impulse response block, you can choose. I don't really find it sounds that much different running the effects post IR or pre IR. If they're coming after the amp anyway, the IR is going to do its big massive filter EQ thing on the whole mix anyway, so you can pick, you know, how you want to do that. But yeah, making some templates is always a good idea. Ted says, happy Sunday, lovely to have you back, good to be here, thank you. Am I releasing any of the snippets of the new CD early? I probably will. When I have a little bit more time after this week's over and I go to Japan, I'll be over there working, but when I have like some jet lagged mornings or something, I'll probably put together some little teaser videos or something with some I've got video of one song on the record which is called In Good Company, and Laurie Basilio and Tim Pierce played solos on it as well as me, so it's all three of us, and I've got video of everybody's performances, so I'll cut together a video of that song, and it should be really cool. I think I might even do it for Jam Track Central or something, see if they're interested in maybe making because Tim and Laurie, they played such great stuff on it, so it's like maybe we can make a lesson out of it and do it on Jam Track Channel or something. But I'm going to cut together a video of that, and maybe I'll do a short, 30-second teaser or something like that and cut it together, put it up on Instagram. It's really cool. It's one of my favorite songs on the record. It's just a jam, really. Kind of Pink Floyd-y sort of jam. Let's see here. What do I do? What to do to mix more than one IR, says Lucas. Well, you can do it in your DAW using a plugin like Mix IR2. And you can also do it with Wall of Sound, I think. Blending together different IRs. You can blend them at any level. Ted is saying just watch the dialing in an amp over at TC. Wicked stuff. So that means that video's already out. I didn't know that. I'll share it on Facebook and stuff if it's out. I didn't know they put it out already. But yeah, that amp is really cool. Did I have any noise issues with the Mission 529 USB thing? I had to send 2 of them back because they made that weird whine. I don't know about that. No, actually. So yeah, I should plug it in with a bunch of different pedals, I guess, and test for that. But did you get, tell me this, Maddie, did you get one that worked? Or are you still having issues? I wonder if it was just like a certain run of them or something that had problems. Let's see here. Jonathan says, I just bought a Vox AC15C2 212 instead of 112. Any tips for good tone? I find that you kind of can't run the treble much higher than about 6, or they thin out. You'll notice the tone controls on AC30s. This is on the Top Boost channel. I noticed that they're really the treble affects the bass. They're really interactive almost. So it's like you turn the treble up on an AC30 anywhere past 6, and it's going to thin out. I actually show that in that TC video. It does the typical thing where you turn it up and then the tone gets thin and bright. It's actually like filtering out bass somehow. It's the treble control. So I tend to run them on 4 to 6, something like that. And then the bass control, same thing. It gets too flubby for me past about 5 or 6, it's depending on the tone. So I'll run the bass on AC30s. You know, both the tone controls are kind of hovering around 5 somewhere. That's just what I like. What else? Don't be afraid of using I'm not sure if that particular model has a low gain input. It probably does, if it's 4 inputs or 6 inputs or whatever. But don't be afraid of using the low gain input, because the inputs aren't all the same. 2 of them are, traditional AC30s had 6 inputs, 1 for each channel, and then a low gain for each channel. And the low gain is where the clean lives. So if you're using pedals and stuff and you want some headroom, try the low gain input. And the cut control is useful. Let's see here. Rockcamp says, great demo on the Moore. Have I tried their power amp and preamps? I tried the little preamp pedals and stuff a little bit. Not really my cup of tea. I don't know, maybe I need to mess with them more. But the radar was the main thing I was interested in. I haven't really played with their other stuff. I know they have a little power amp, right? Or maybe do they have little power amp pedals or something? I can't remember. I'm not super familiar with their whole line. I played with the little preamps a bit, and I don't know. It wasn't really my thing, but other people might dig them. The radar, though, is a terrific little product. I think it's great. They're an interesting company, man. They're doing a lot for really low price. T-Crane says, bucket list band you've always wanted to see live. Well, I'd love to see, I would have loved to see Zeppelin, I guess. I would have loved to see Hendrix. Definitely. I got to see The Who with Entwistle. That was amazing, because they were my first big influence, and I did see them right before he passed away. That was really powerful, because I was a little late getting to the show. I saw the beginning, but I was walking in as they started, and they started playing I Can't Explain, which is the first song I ever played on the guitar. And as I was walking to my seat, those chords came out, and it just kind of struck me like, whoa, that's my childhood coming at me right now. And I just kind of stopped in the aisle as I was walking to my seat and looked, and then I was just pretty mesmerized for the whole show. And when I think about how long ago that is now, it was 2001, I think. That's crazy, you know. It's just like, and they're still going. And my buddy John's the bass player now. It's crazy. see here. Mr. Campbell says here, in sessions, do you tend to be given standard notation chord charts or Nashville charts? It's generally just chord charts. I don't really read, man. I'm a crappy reader. I mean, notation, it's like I would need to, I know it, but I would have to sit here for like probably 4 weeks and really practice reading every day in order to feel like I was up to snuff enough to go into a session and read notation, you know? But it's just not what people hire me for anyway, you know? It's not like I'm doing film sessions and stuff. It'd be like, hey, can you play some cool guitar parts on my rock song? So that's the kind of work that I get generally. Chord charts are pretty standard in LA. Santa Rosa says, do you still use your King of Tone? I have it right here. And I would use it. I would have it on my board if it was small. Because I love the clean side especially. It's such a good sounding pedal. One of the best sounding overdrive pedals out there. It's like I can hear the tone in my head of that pedal right now, and it's great. So I haven't used it on my board for a while because I kind of need smaller pedals, but for the current board, it's compact, you know. But I do love that pedal. Joe Peasy for Sheezy says, hi from Santa Rosa. I want to see if you still use your King. Oh, you were the King of Tone guy. Sorry. Also, if you still had the light up guitar from the Milan Farmer tour. No, that wasn't mine. They provided those. This was a French tour I did a few years ago, 2013, where I had a guitar that was all lit up with LEDs on the front. And that guitar was a nightmare, actually, because the LEDs went into the pickup and created this terrible sound. It had a traditional, you know, pickup on it, and the LEDs. Imagine putting a whole bunch of LEDs right beside a pickup, and the guitar hummed like nothing you've ever heard. So that was unusable. So what we ended up doing on that guitar was we put piezo pickup, like a Fishman Power Bridge, on it. So now you've got it was a Tele with a Tune-o-matic on it and one pickup. So now I've got the pickup in the bridge. Imagine how that sounded, because it was kind of distorted rock 8 notes that I had to play. So it'd be like plugging an electric acoustic into a Marshall or something. I was like, oh man, I can't do this. So what I did, and it worked, was I tone matched using the Axe Effects. I used the Axe Effects for that one song on that tour, and I used the tone match block, and I tone matched my Les Paul pickup. So I played the Les Paul into the Axe Effects, and it, you know, the tone match thing allows you to match one tone to another. It looks at the EQ of whatever that you're playing into it, and then it applies that EQ curve to something else. So I plugged in the Les Paul, got the tone match thing going. It analyzes, you know, just through playing the EQ curve of the sound of that guitar. And then I plugged in the piezo guitar and played it, and it now applies the EQ curve of the Les Paul to that. And it worked. It was like, that's about 85% better than what we had. It still didn't sound great, but it sounded good, I have to say. You know, it's not unlike you know, playing an IR of an acoustic guitar and applying an IR of an acoustic guitar to an electric guitar pickup, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden it sort of sounds like a faux electric acoustic or whatever. Pretty good, usable. It was like that, but the reverse. I was making an acoustic guitar sound like an electric guitar. So that's what I did there. But yeah, I don't miss that guitar. I'll put it to you that way. Let's see here. William says, thanks, Pete, for being here. I'm a new fan of yours. I do have to say I've never been a true fan of solo-style guitar players like Satriani, and last night I decided to go through your YouTube songs. Oh, well, I'm glad you're here. I'm actually not a huge fan of solo guitar records either. It's not what I go to listen to. Occasionally. But if I do, it's usually somebody like Jeff Beck or... you know, Satriani I've always liked because he writes songs, and I like melodies and songs, the song structure, and the songs always go somewhere, and so I've always been a fan of his. And I like Vai as I've only seen Steve Vai live a couple times, but when you go see him live, you really, you know, it's difficult, I think, without a singer there to hold people's attention and to not sort of, you know, blow your wad in like 2 songs. And with Vi, he has this like really masterful dynamic approach to both his songs on record, but you really see it live where he'll entertain you for like an hour and a half and you won't be bored. It's like dynamically his playing and his show has an arc to it, and he's really a master of that, more than most guys that play instrumental guitar rock. Always knocked out by that when I see him. Yeah. Let's see here. AC-15 only has top boost and normal, no low gain. That's Landau. So Lando music. AC-15 only has top boost and normal, so there's no low gain input on them. My AC-15 has... Does it have a low gain input? Jeez, I don't remember right now. I think it does. My AC-15 hand-wired. I thought it had 4 inputs. I could be wrong. Sorry, spacing. What is my favorite Fender amp, says Ben. God, it's hard to pick. That super reverb I did in the Amps in the Zone video. That's a magic sounding amplifier. It's my friend Toshi's. So I love super reverbs. I like a nice deluxe reverb. I used to record with a deluxe reverb a lot. And that's just a great sounding amp. I like Princeton's too. Just really nice. Slight 60 cycle hum coming through. You know what it is? I've got a plug-in here. I'll fix that. Sorry. I've got an amp plug-in going on my audio interface. Sorry, guys. That just fixed the problem. I'm sure it probably shouldn't have that hum anymore. I got 2 channels on my interface. One I've got a microphone plugged into that you're hearing me speak through, and on the other one I had a plug-in of an amplifier. Let's see here. So I think I fixed that. Okay. Let's see here. Moving down. Sorry guys, the chat's skipping around a little bit for me, so I might have missed some of your questions, comments, etc. We got 262 people online. That's pretty good. Greetings from Austria. That's awesome. All the way from Austria. I haven't been there for 10 years, but lovely place. Getting a PV Predator with a locked trim. Should I float it? What do you do? I always have floating trims, yeah. Like if it's a locking style, Floyd style, it's always floating a little bit. Some people don't like it, but I do. You know, I guess my Wolfgang has the set up flat to the body, but Eddie does it that way. My favorite tubes, says Ben. If it's new old stuff, I like Mollards and Amperex and stuff for preamp tubes. I really like Tesla EL34s in Marshalls, the old ones, old Teslas. They're kind of my favorite. The old Siemens and also, Mollards sound great and stuff, but I like Teslas. And for 12AX7s, just Mollards or those Amperex Bugle Boy. Bugle Boys always sound incredible to me, especially in like simple amp circuits or in Marshalls and stuff. Put a Bugle Boy in V1, it's just the biggest, fattest sound, like the most detailed kind of. RFTs are nice too. They're a little more, they're gainy and kind of a little more rolled off on the top end. RFTs are like the original. I mean, to me, it's like the modern Chinese preamp tube is sort of the closest thing to that sound, gainy. I don't really like JJ preamp tubes. They are rolled off and dark. They sound like you put a blanket over things, just a little bit. We're talking about subtle. These aren't like, it's not like changing speakers. People think sometimes like tubes will transform their amp. They won't really. It's like subtle changes. That's what I've found. But years ago I did tests, where I recorded really closely and listened to a whole bunch of different preamp tubes and power tubes and stuff, and it's sort of proven to me that it's subtle differences, not huge differences like changing speakers, like I say, or something. But yeah, amp choice question from Jennifer. If you're a highly technical and extremely accurate player, or would you say orange amps is the right choice for you? I mean, orange, it all depends on what tone you gravitate towards, I guess. I always think of orange as having a big kind of brawny, fat distortion thing. Like, it's different than Marshall. It's fatter and like more, Tony Iommi didn't use them, I don't think, but that's what I think of. Or, Queens of the Stone Age, or, they're a little bit more like stoner, doom, I don't know, kind of grindy and big. Great sounding stuff. I mean, Orange makes great stuff. I really am a fan of a lot of their new pedals, too. And then I saw Ty Tabor using that solid state orange recently with King's X, and it sounded amazing. Made me want to get one. Let's see here. What do I think about Eddie Hazel? I don't know Eddie Hazel. I don't. What the hell am I drinking? Somebody probably said. This is a smoothie. Acai, blueberries, strawberries. Mm-hmm. Good morning. It's my breakfast. What was I listening to in the 80s? Kind of everything. I started off listening to The Who and the Beatles and stuff like that, and then my sister was really into metal, so she was always, I heard early Metallica and, bands like Guns N' Roses or Thin Lizzy or kind of metal hard rock and stuff. That was all coming from my sister, and she was way into hard rock and was always going to the local record store to buy Kerrang! Magazine from England and stuff with all the, it was like cutting edge, sort of telling you about all the British heavy metal bands and stuff, that whole wave. It was like she was way ahead of everybody as far as knowing what was going on in that world. So I was getting that from her, but I was also really into, like, I loved everything from like the Pretenders or Roxy Music or just lots of different the broad sort of rock and roll, new wave, heavy metal. I listened to a little bit of everything. The guitar players were mainly like, Van Halen was my guy, AC/DC, and you can hear it in my playing, I guess. And then I got into, later on, Gilmour and his whole thing. I just started gravitating towards that, sort of melody and, over shredding, I guess. Desert Island Discs. On that note, I would say Dark Side of the Moon. Is hearing loss a big concern for you as a pro musician? Do you take any steps to prevent it? I'm pretty careful these days. I developed a little bit of tinnitus when I was with Cornell on tour because we were wearing in-ears, and my guitar rig was pretty loud. The bass rig was pretty loud. We were just loud as a band. It was all behind us blowing, and then I had to hear my guitar above everything. And I panned my guitar to the left in my in-ears, and I had Yogi panned right, just kind of like 10 and 2, so the left channel was louder because I was trying to hear my guitar, and my left ear got a little burned out in that period. And it's kind of better now. I don't really notice it as much, but my ears kind of rang for a while and seemed more sensitive. Like, would only take a little bit of loud sound to make this one just start ringing. But now I just I wear in-ears. Many times I use the volume limiter on the in-ear pack, which it's really weird. Like, monitor engineers, many times they don't want you to use that. No, don't do that. I'll do it. It's like, no, dude, I'll do it. Because what happens sometimes live on stage, somebody will come behind you and bump you, and it's weird. It's happened to me not like more than once, where somehow that volume knob on the in-ear pack gets cranked, and it is like all of a sudden you've got 150 dB in your ears or something, and you just lose your mind on stage and pull your ears out like somebody just hit you in the head. That's happened to me. So with the limiter, it's either got like an actual limiter that like a limiter circuit, or it just limits the range of the volume knob on the pack. So I like to turn that on and have it so that the volume on the pack won't go past a certain level. In-ears, I think, can both be bad for your hearing and also save it. If you go really loud on stage volume, which we do with the Japanese gig, he likes it loud, the guy I play with, so he likes his voice really loud in the sides, and he plays harmonica, and we lays into the harmonica in the side fills. It is loud, like the loudest thing, and And so I wear the in-ears now more sort of for ear protection almost than I do for wanting to use them live. But it's also great because I can run around on stage then and still hear my mix go way stage right or way stage left and hear my guitar perfectly. So I've actually grown to like it, using it with him. And that helps kind of protect my ears, I find. Keeping the volume down, getting a really great mix. You kind of have to talk yourself into the mix sometimes and being comfortable with it and playing at a lower, like getting them at a little lower volume than you're maybe comfortable with, you know? And then just do it and force yourself to do it. Don't turn up the pack, just get in the headspace. And then after 15 or 20 minutes, you're kind of used to it. And it's like, oh, it's fine. So, yeah. Good afternoon from the East Coast. Says William. Carpal tunnel release surgery. Oh, wow. So William's having some carpal tunnel surgery. Good luck with all that, man. I hope it goes perfectly and that you recover 100%. I'm sure you will. I think they've got all that pretty figured out these days. Must be a bummer. Pain and not having dexterity and stuff like that. I think I've got different kinds of surgeries now that are really non-invasive, right? Or at least minimally invasive carpal tunnel release surgery, so it's not so difficult. I don't know. Let's see here. Moving down. Sorry, I'm way behind now. I know that in the chat. Apologies. What do I like to layer with the King of Tone? Well, I guess if you're using the clean side, you could hit it with a tube screamer or a Klon or something, and it would sound pretty cool. In front, probably. Do I have any electric guitars with piezo saddles? I do. I have a Les Paul with a Fishman power bridge. I don't really use it much, but I do have one. Maybe I should use it more, now that I know I can do the IR thing. Donnie got a Marshall Origin 20 head. Sounds awesome with the 212 V30 cab. The mistake people are making is buying the combo. That's why the bad reviews. The speaker is too small. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, a head through a bigger cabinet always sounds better. Kuru Head says, "Hey Pete, do you have tips on removing him from your studio? Kick him out." I think you meant hum. Hum can come from so many different places. I actually have a lot of problems in my studio space with hum coming through the pickups, and I believe it's from power transformers on the power poles outside, the big, you know, the way the power's done on the street. It's a problem. Part of why I actually work here a lot now, because in my home it's really quiet. Not a lot of hum or issues like that, and it just makes the guitar sound better, I feel like. But there's all kinds of issues that you can have, you know, with power. It can be ground loops, it can be physical noise, or, you know, RF or whatever coming in through the pickups. So tell me more specifically kind of what you got going on. I'll see if I can pinpoint it. Showman's Blue says, "Holy moly, that King of Tone pedal is $550. I've had mine for years. I know he doesn't make a lot of them, and there's a long waiting list, so he probably just has to charge accordingly, because it seems to be he hit it out of the park with that one, and he has a lot of people waiting for them, I think, all the time." Okay, I'm so far behind in the chat, so I'm going to move down. I'm sorry if I miss things you say or ask. Christopher says, "I just watched Crazy Heart. So good, Jeff Bridges as an aging country legend." I like that movie. It was great. I saw it in the theater. It was really good. William says, "No doubt it sucks." Yeah, man, that sucks that you got to get that done. But hopefully they you know, they do a bang-up job on you, and it's awesome. Probably beats the state that you're in right now, you know, I'm sure. What do I like to layer with the Jan Ray, says Zach. Jan Ray sounds great with, once again, if you you use the Jan Ray as kind of like a fat, warm, edgy drive, just edge of breakup kind of thing, and then you could hit it with it's nice with a compressor in front for getting a kind of a real smooth, like barely overdriven thing, but with some sustain. So I do that occasionally. Or you could just hit it with like a clon. I've done that. I do that sometimes, like a Archer or something in front of the. That's what I would use now for that sound on my board. And yeah, I do that sometimes, and it's cool. Frog Leap, Leo, you're here, dude. I just saw the video that you did with our buddy from Gear Gods, and it was really cool. Beautiful, man. I mean, God, that place you live is so incredible. Everybody know Leo from Frog Leap? Frog Leap Studios. Go check him out on YouTube if you haven't. I'm sure you have, because he's world famous. Sorry, I'm not answering your question, Leo. You're asking, have I tried Variax? Just a little bit. I have one of the Roland modeling guitars, and there's actually something wrong with it, I think. I haven't been able to get it to work for a while. The last couple times I picked it up, but it had a baritone option in it, as well as some sitar and then all the different, humbucker and single coil and stuff. And it's pretty cool. I did a video for the Roland guitar on Roland Fender Strat. It's on YouTube. You could search for that, and it sounds good. Minimal latency and really useful. So Cult says, if some guy sent you a DIY pedal, you try it and make a video for it. Well, it's kind of my job now. So, it just depends. Like if, I do it and I kind of schedule out these videos and stuff, because each one takes a couple, 3 days to make. They take a long time for me. So there's factors to consider. You can send me an email at petethorn@ymail.com. Y, like the letter Y. And I'll send you back details if you want. But generally I have to try it and make sure I like it first, because that's kind of my whole bag. I don't talk up things if I don't like it. How would I describe the difference between the overdrive on the PT amp versus a Boogie Mark 525 after the vintage Van Halen tone? Well, it'll be closer on my amp, I think, just because of the sort of Marshall lineage of the channel. My channel 2, compared to the Boogie amps. Boogies are a different kind of sound. So to me, Mesa has always sounded like, and I'm speaking about the traditional kind of Mark series Mesas here, not Rectos and all that. So that's like a different sound. But the traditional Mesa thing, they've got a fat liquid kind of tone that works really, really nicely playing single notes. Really fat, warm. They're easy to play lead on. Whereas Marshalls are like thinner. But because Marshalls are thinner, when you play chords and stuff, they tend to, the way the chords ring out and stuff, the individual notes aren't so fat, so it's a little less muddy, if that makes sense. That's the way I always hear it. Going way back, I always heard the Marshall sound as being like clear but distorted, if that makes sense. Like kind of like you can drive a Marshall, and as long as you keep the bass low, there's definition in the sound of chords, but the single notes are thinner. And then with a Boogie, it's like big, fat, round, singing, sustainy single notes, but that, when you play more than one at a time, translates to, it's kind of a little more blah, blah. That makes sense. Bloated. Not necessarily bad, Mayron Khan says, giving up gluten is hard, but you feel so much better. Do, generally. If you've got problems with it, it can be night and day. Alright. What else we got here? That Marshall at TC you played through sounded fantastic, said Rogue Wave. Yeah, that amp's smoking. Great sound. I mean, kind of typical of that era. It's like you plug into them and go, oh yeah, God, these sound good. Like, the original sounds amazing. Really good sounding amp. Gainy, kind of gainy for what it was, So Keith got a good question about tubes. ECC 83s and 82s in my Blackstar preamp section. Are they interchangeable with an AX7 or other model? So ECC 83 is the same as a AX7. If it says ECC 83 on it, it's probably a JJ. It's a European designation for 12AX7 was like the American designation for that tube, and ECC 83 was the European equivalent. So that's the reason for the discrepancy there. But and 82s are AT7s, so they're lower gain. They're about, I think, 80% the gain of a 12AX7. So if you put a 12AX7 or an ECC 83 in a slot that you had an ECC 82 or 12AT7, you're going to notice more gain in that slot, which can be bad sometimes, because sometimes you need the headroom to get a clean enough sound in a certain position. So it just depends, you know. 5751 is another designation for a lower gain 12AX7, which can sound really good in like the early slot of Fenders if you like to turn them up and you want some headroom. It's all a balancing act, like a recipe. But you can try. You're not going to hurt it, I don't think, by putting a ECC 83 where an 82 was. It just might not sound as good. It might sound, you know, splatty or more. More gain isn't always what you want. It might get weird. Gabriel says, "Can I use a combo amp like a cabinet?" Sure, if you've got if you know the speaker has got a 1/4-inch jack on it that you can unplug from the combo amplifier. For instance, my Cerbella sitting here has that in the back. The speaker plugs in via a 1/4-inch jack. Yeah, you could just, you know, use a 1/4-inch coupler or something like that. Run a speaker cable to the speaker cable coming out of the speaker on the amp, and if your amp doesn't have that, any amp tech could set that up for you. And then you could use it like a cabinet with another amp. Just make sure that your amplifier that you're plugging into that speaker doesn't exceed the maximum power of that speaker. Where's she here? What else we got? We've gone about an hour. Sorry, I'm so groggy today. I feel like I'm slow and speaking low. I don't think this worked. I have to make a pot of coffee. It would have helped if I wasn't up till 4 a.m. watching Fargo. Right. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the chat here and work backwards a little bit. Guitarl says, "I know you're not a big acoustic guy." I love acoustic guitar. I just don't. Yeah, I don't like specialize in acoustic guitar. I guess that's true. But I love playing it. Mayron Khan says, "Great tone talk. Thank you. That was good. Pretty fun. On Friday with Dave." The Sonic Solution says, "Boogies sound good in the jam room, but Marshalls sound good recorded." Yeah, I mean, some people get great tones out of boogies too. I mean, Petrucci seems to make it work, you know. I'd like some. I've owned a lot of boogies. I had a Caliber 50 and then a Mesa, Studio 22 preamp. Is that what it's called? It was Studio preamp. Studio 22 was a little amp, but I had a Studio preamp and a 295 power amp, and then I had a rectifier. I had a bunch of their stuff. 3-channel recto. Is the new smaller PT Sur amp ready? The design is ready, and it's just being laid out, basically. And then it's a question of building, but it's coming. Keith said, "Totally skipped 2 very important questions I had." Sorry, Keith. I'll tell you what, ask them again right now, and I'm not really skipping things. I'm just not. The problem is, I don't know if you guys see the chat window that I see or not. I don't know if it's the same, but the problem is that I move down through it, and then I start answering questions, and I get off on a topic for a minute, and then a whole bunch more people ask questions, and then as I try and page down through the thing, it skips, and then I can't find where I was. So it's not intentional, and I apologize. And then sometimes I'm so far behind that it's just like, I got to go down to the bottom and just, so it's just, there's only one of me sitting here, you know. I wish there was like 5 guys all answering questions, and then I could get to everything. But I apologize. It seems like only when it gets up above 200 people or so it gets to be an issue, and we're about 268 right now. Shaniet Wood says, "Ever played a Vox Phantom?" I haven't. Those old Vox guitars, though, they're cool, man. I remember seeing Mike Campbell from Tom Petty Heartbreakers playing one, and it had built-in effects, and he played this crazy awesome intro to a song on it with phaser and fuzz and stuff, and then it was so cool, and then he pointed at the guitar and he goes, "The 60s." I always liked that. It was cool. I always remember But I haven't actually played one. Seem like really unique, weird guitars. What's the best compressor pedal in my opinion? Looking to buy a Cali 76 Compact Deluxe. Yeah, they're great. It's awesome. I use the little Wampler Ego compressor now on my board because it's small, and I really like it. It sounds really good. But the Cali is it's the Cadillac of compressors, you know, I would say. The Origin guys are pretty genius. They make great stuff. And let's see here. Somebody's asking about how I hold a pick. It's Christopher. Kind of like that. Pretty much exactly like that. Let's see here. King of Tone is usually $250 from Mike. This is coming from Jim. He says, King of Tone is usually $250 from Mike. If he doesn't make that many, the demand is still high, and that causes people to be willing to pay more. Yeah, I think that's the problem. It's the same thing right now as with the questions. There's only one guy, and he's making them, and he can't get to them all. He's one dude, and he makes a lot of pedals, so he's got to make all the other ones too. What's my opinion of Richie Kotzen? I think he's amazing. He's an amazing guitar player, singer, all-around musician. Saw him last night, actually. I don't know him, like as a person. I used to kind of, but kind of like I don't know. I don't go up to him and say, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" It's not like that or anything. But it's funny because I used to. It's a funny story. I used to write him letters when I was a little kid. I was 16 or 17, and he had an address on the back of his CD, I think, for correspondence right here, and I wrote to him, and he wrote me back from Pennsylvania. He was probably 18 at the time, and I was like 16, because he's only a little bit older than I am. And I used to, write him these letters, and he'd totally hit me back and write me letters, old school, post style. So that was cool. And then I remember going to see him when I first moved to LA at the club that used to be the Viper. It's now the Viper Room, same location. It was called the Central. It was the only time I ever went to that place before it turned into the Viper Room around 92 or something. But I saw Richie play there. I remember that right after I'd moved to LA. He's great. He's awesome. Just an amazing musician all the way around. Okay. I'm going to move down in the chat now. See here. Prince of Tone is a lot cheaper and very close to the King of Tone, but you don't get the two channels. That's coming from David. Yeah, that's right. The Prince of Tone is smaller. And I like the Prince of Tone side, the cleaner side. That's my favorite sound on I used to use the red side. My King of Tone has the red hot side or whatever. Cool. I like it, but I use the clean side more. That was like a magic tone to me. Just kind of a really transparent kind of overdrive that didn't add a lot of mids. Do I like the Mojo Vibe? Yeah, I used to have the Mojo. I still have it, and it's cool. What do I like to use for classic Univibe? I like the Vibe Machine, from the one from Croatia, because it's small. It's about the size of a Phase 90. And it's really good. Mojo Vibe's great too, though. Barefoot says, when is the new album out? June 15th. It'll be out to everybody. So the Pledge people, it'll be out. People that got in for the PledgeMusic thing, it'll be out on the 31st. So really soon. It's coming up. But yeah, you'll be able to get it on, I'm going to do it through CD Baby, and then through that it's going to iTunes and Amazon and everywhere and streaming. So June 15th. And I'll have a video ready and stuff on June 15th. Iago says, I have a Boss GTA, not in love with the sounds. The alternative is solid state amp with an overdrive and a wah. Which sounds better, but it's impractical. Which setup would I choose? Have you tried any of the newer stuff? If you want to do the sort of GT8 style thing, I guess. That's a modeling board, right? It's an older Boss unit, like the Helix or something. You might want to try. I think the Helix keeps getting better and better with some of the new amp models they put in it, and you just load your own IRs in there and get, dial in the tones. It sounds pretty awesome for that style setup. I still love playing through amps, of course, so if I've got my choice, it's always just an amp with a nice pedal board. Very always happy with that. Have I ever made a PB&J sandwich at Eggo waffles? No, but I've made them separately. I used to like Eggo waffles. Sure I did. Who didn't? I'm from South Africa. What's up? Man, 10 years ago I was there. Johannesburg and Cape Town. It was a hell of a flight on the way there. I remember going through Senegal. And the plane landed in Senegal and then got fogged with these, like, people walked down the aisles of the plane, fogging this bug spray all the way down. I was like, will that kill me? It was weird. But once I got to South Africa, I had a great time. In Cape Town, I went to the top of Table Mountain, which is unbelievable. Looks like Arizona on the top of this thing, and then down below, it's like gorgeous beach, you know. Beautiful. And I saw lions there. That was cool. Sorry, I digress. What would I put in a 412 with a pair of G12Hs running JVM 410H? I would put greenbacks. I'd put the greenbacks in the top and the G12Hs in the bottom. Nice blend. That's exactly what I would do. Just a couple of regular greenbacks will work fine. Keith, are you still here? Ask me your questions again. Come on, don't be mad at me. I've already had a rough morning. I'm going to say it one more time real quick. For those that bought the Riot pedals and the pickups, Thornbucker pickups on PledgeMusic, we made some mistakes. We sent out some stuff that wasn't signed. It was supposed to be signed, and we didn't do it. Sorry. We're going to make it right. We're sending out an email, and we're giving you options as far as what can we do to make you happy, including send it back, sign it, send it back to you. We'll pay for all the postage. Or I'll write you a nice card. I'll go get you a birthday card or a wedding card. Write you a nice message. I don't know. Something. And I'll send that to you. But we'll make it right. And apologies for that. Maybe you don't care if it's signed. You're definitely going to get a signed CD if you got any of those packages. That's coming separately. So you will get that. Keith says he'll hang in a little longer. There's Keith. I don't know. I hope you didn't go, Keith. I apologize. I'm just working through. I'm seeing your messages, but I'm not seeing your question. Okay. You say, first question, ever tried the Marshall Code 50? No, that's a modeling amp, right? Flextone 3 is my backup to my Blackstar. I haven't tried the Marshall Code amps. It seems like, I don't know if you guys feel like this is the case or not, but it seems like the Katanas are kind of like the popular modeling amp in a package now kind of thing, right? I don't know. That's the one I hear about the most, that people seem the most happy with. I haven't tried the Codes, though. I used to have a Flextone. I think it was a 2 or 3. I can't remember if it was a Flextone 2 or 3. I think I still have it in my storage space. It's been sitting there for about 15 years. So when I'm not on the road, do I play locally in clubs or other gigs? I played last night. You know, the local jams, those happen. I go out sometimes and play. I have really mixed feelings about it, to tell you the truth. I just love having all my stuff and my sounds. I don't like it. I went up and I plugged in last night, and this amp had this horrendous ground loop because they were running a Lely switcher, you know, going to 3 different amps, and I'm sure you needed to use the isolation transformer, and they probably weren't, or whatever. So there's a pedal board with a bunch of pedals that I had 2 seconds to look at and try and get in tune, and then the amp came on. It was brrrr, and I'm like, fuck, really? Like, I gotta play with that? And I just did it. I played 2 songs with that crazy ground loop going through the amp. Just that shit kills me, which is why we're all here talking about guitar, because this is sort of my specialty or whatever. So that drives me crazy, and it's just not an enjoyable experience to me. But it's fun going out and playing and stuff. Not picking it. They're trying to do a nice thing, you know. But that bothered me. Just that was happening. Keith says, just discovered the Marshall Code 50 modeling amp, and he has the Blackstar Stage 6212. Tired of hauling that with my tone-sucking Helix HX, and the Code is half the weight. I wonder what's wrong with your Helix. I don't find it sucks tone. Maybe it's... there's a few different things that could be happening with that. Are you running a 4-cable method with the amp and you find it's affecting the sound? I don't have problems with it. I used it with the PT and it worked fine. You do have to isolate you'll get a ground loop if you don't isolate the send to the front of the PT from the helix if you're using a 4-cable method. You have to do that, and then you can also play with the input impedance setting and stuff on the helix. But it could be your effects loop in your amp. If that'll suck tone. If the problem's not really with the helix, if the problem is interfacing something 4-cable and then you're running maybe long cables out to the helix, and if the loop isn't properly buffered, it's going to screw up your sound. But hey, if you're happy, it says you just discovered the code 50. I don't know if you got it yet or not. Oh, okay, I see. So you've been using the Black Star with the helix and it doesn't work. The code's half the way. I haven't tried it, to be honest. So I wish I could offer more insight into the code amps. Ted says he runs a tube screamer into the King of Tone. Sounds incredible. And Richie Kotzon's incredible. Agreed on all points. Christopher says his exotic SP compressor sounds great, but gets a lot of hum with it. Maybe you need to use a different power supply. Or it's possible just through compression you're upping the noise floor, because compressors will do that. They'll pump up the noise floor. And you're just hearing single coil pickups or something. If you still hear the hum when you turn off the compressor or when it's not in line, but it's just quieter, that's probably what's happening. It's just compressing the sound and compressing the hum. But if you plug it in line and it's bypassed and you hear the hum, or if you turn it on and set it up kind of neutral so it's not really doing any compression, you turn it on, there's hum, it's probably a power issue. Whatever's powering it, you're getting you need to isolate it or something. Impressions of the playing style of Johnny Marr. That's Bruce K. I love Johnny Marr. Love Johnny Marr. I would be Johnny Marr if I could. Love it. He's an awesome guitar player with great sounds and parts, you know. He reminds me of I don't know. He's just so musical. That's to me what I was mentioning earlier. I'm much more drawn to that, actually, to tell you the truth, than a lot of shreddy stuff. He's a terrific guitar player with great sounds. Small footprint flanger for EVH tones, says JJ. Wow, we got 280 people online. It's fun. Maybe I should start doing this later, because it seems like I always get more people into the second hour. Small footprint flanger, the Vortex. I would say you could probably come up with a tone print that was relatively close, now that you can make your own and all that, on the Vortex. It's the only small one that I could think of. That's the TC. Matt says congrats on the new album. Are there any guest collaborators that you can tell us about? Yes, Mark Lettieri plays on one song, played a killer fuzz solo. Larry Basilio and Tim Pierce played solos on a song that I also do, and we all kind of take a turn. Steve Stevens plays bass on 3 songs. It's awesome. He also played keys on most of those, I think, if not all. I think all of them actually he added keys too. Yeah. And my friend Dennis Martin plays keys on 5 songs. Who else is on there? Billy Idol's drummer Eric Aldanius is on the same 3 songs that Steve Stevens is on. Kurt Biscara played drums on 4 tracks. He's a legend. He's played with everybody from Rod Stewart to Elton John to Mick Jagger. He's an amazing drummer. Matt Logg, who used to play with Slash, he plays on Dirty Town. John Button, who's my good buddy that plays in The Who now, and he's on bass on, I think, 3 or 4 tracks. 3, maybe. And Chris Chaney from Jane's Addiction played bass on the last tune on the record, which is the last thing I recorded, called Remember, which I love. I'm really proud of that song. Yeah. It's Pink Floyd-y, for sure. How often do I change strings? Not that often, because I'm lazy, but I would do it every 3 days if I could. Live, I do it every 3rd gig, generally. If it's a guitar with a tremolo, I might do it every 2 gigs, because I feel like we stress the strings more. Let's see here. Moving down. Chris Ham says Analog Mike has a team now, but I think they're still backed up on orders. Tell me about your Comet Concord, Wafreak says. I just used it this past week to do some stuff. I love it. It sounds great. It's like a more detailed Marshall plexi. It's like a more rich Marshall. That's how I think of the tone. It's still very British sounding to me, but it's not unlike a 50 watt plexi in the sort of the gain and the, you know, the balls and all that stuff. But the mids are so rich on it. I asked Friedman about it. He says it's actually pretty different circuit wise, but it sounds great. Got it sitting right here. Really, really good amp. I'd love to use it again on a gig, actually. With like something clean, like the Kelly or something, you know, or maybe the Bella. Maybe I could use the Bella in the Comet for something. It'd be fun. Not enough time. Too many amps, not enough time. But then again, I've got my own new amp coming out, so and it's going to be great. If I could only use a Kemper, what would I miss about classic valve amps? You know what I would miss is the ease of use. That's the main thing that I think we can still give people with amps, if we can just make them a little bit more, push them into the 21st century with some modern features. But reaching out and grabbing a knob, I know you can do that. I got a Kemper right here, so I'm looking at it. I know you can do that on a Kemper, but there's still this. I love the Kemper. It's a great tool. It's just a little bit. I feel like if they did a redesign on it, it would be a good thing. I'm sure they probably are thinking about that. It's just a little bit like a piece of electronic equipment as opposed to a tube amp, where you can, it's just this tactile reach. Grab the more treble, you grab the knob and crank up the treble you want. You know, it's a little bit ease of use thing is the main thing. Tones are great on Kempers. I mean, they sound good. Let's see here. John says, great videos for TCA, I like them. Yeah, it was very off the cuff, thanks. We didn't know what we were going to do when we went in there, but I had a good chemistry with Tor, and it just kind of worked. We just kind of rolled and shot a bunch of stuff, and it was really fun. Yukon Stapel Gotro says, which licks should I play if I like to impress the chicks? Get yourself a nice classical guitar, and sit down and learn some etudes. That's what I would say. Trust me. That's where it's at. Is Thornbucker Plus better for EVH tones? Not really. EVH, to be honest, I mean, you can do it with the Thornbucker. I would say that you're going to want an Alnico 5 magnet. If I was doing EVH, I mean, so to me, Eddie used different pickups. I'm pretty sure he used Super Distortion or Mighty Might on the first record. I'm pretty sure about that, at least in the black and white guitar. And then the Destroyer had this, what was it called, Super 8 or whatever, which are Alnico 8 magnets, I think. But it had its own thing going on. But I think his white guitar had the, white and black guitar had the Super Distortion or the Mighty Might version of it. Or maybe it was Duncan, what Duncan ended up calling the Duncan Custom, which was basically a Super Distortion clone. And then by the second record, I think he was all PAF style after that for a little while. I think it's a big part of the difference in his sound, how it changed. I don't think he liked the tone on the first record, to be honest. I don't think he liked the sound, because it is this flatter, kind of aggressive, the ceramic magnet 14K thing. It's a different sound. So, what pickup would I recommend? Sorry. Allergies? Maybe. I would say a good kind of bright, hot, I mean, I seem to like, for that tone, the Alnico 5, the Motor City second degree black belt, which is like kind of on the slightly hot side, PAF Alnico 5 kind of thing. So maybe an SSV, to be honest. My pickup's a little warmer. It's intentionally designed to have the bridge pickup with the Alnico 4 magnet. It's got a little bit of a warm top so that you can crank it up and still get, set your amp up so that it's nice and bright and the bridge pickup's not tearing your head off. Got kind of a sweet thing on the high strings. For Van Halen, I think you almost need a more aggressive scooped Alnico 5, or once again for Van Halen 1, the ceramic magnet Super Distortion sound, or Duncan Custom. Okay. Do I own any 6L6 high gain amps? I don't think so right now. I think everything I have has EL34s as far as high gain stuff. Yeah, I don't. Probably should have something. Like a, I'd like to have a SLO. I would. Maybe the small version, the little guy. Mr. Estpas71 says he's got the viscous vibe from TC. I almost said vicious. Tor would kill me. Because everybody calls it the vicious vibe, and it's called the viscous vibe. I experienced some background noise, digitally things going on far in the background, which bug the hell out of me. What's the best alternative? BBE Soul Vibe? Maybe. I don't know. You'd have to try some different stuff. To be honest, I use the vibe in the Mobius a lot because it's on my board and it's easy, and I think it sounds great. But any vintage Univibe aficionado would scoff at that. But I think it does the job. I'm not as picky as some people think, I guess. But I'm just looking around here. I've got the viscous vibe sitting right here. I haven't heard that particular sound you're talking about. I like the Vibe Machine from Croatia. I've done some reviews on my YouTube channel for that, both the first version and the newer version. Sorry. This is interesting. Ted says the King of Tone is essentially a modded Marshall Bluesbreaker, which is a pedal I always liked. I didn't know that. If you can take only 4 pedals and 1 amp, what would I choose? Well, I'd probably take a compressor, a drive, a delay. I'd probably, if I had to pick specific pedals, I would probably take a compressor, a Mobius, some sort of drive. Probably a dual channel, something like the Lagrange or something. Or maybe like depending on what amp I was using, a Sur Eclipse or something, maybe with the 2 sides. And then the 4th pedal, maybe an H9, because H9 you can do reverb and delay. Yeah. Sorry. Very congested. Reading here. Buzz is talking about Larve acoustics. I have one there on the wall. Nice acoustic guitars from Canada. Really good. Did I run my Mesa Boogie with 6L6 or EL34? That amp had 6L6s in it. Yeah. I had a dual rectifier that had 6L6s. The only pedal I want right now is the Pro Analog Devices Manticore. I don't know that one. Did an amazing job on that pedal. If you like clones, check it out. Cool. That's from Chris. John says, my son, who's 8, wants to know when your birthday is. It's June 24. Coming up. It's going to be another year older. Can't believe it. It never stops. Just soldiers on. Well, it does stop someday, doesn't it? My dream pedal is the Strymon Timeline. Great pedal. That's from Music and Game. Used it for years and years. L. Scott Music says, I will be trying to gather the most concise set of effects pedals with the most variety of tones. Do you think the Keeley workstation pedals will work well for my little guitar studio? Yeah, I mean, he combines all kinds of different effects in his pedals. There's a bunch to look at, but the Strymon ones are the ones that seem to really hit it out of the park for a lot of people. If you need every tone, and you want to get the minimum amount of pedals and have the most options. It's like the Mobius, the Timeline, and the Big Sky are kind of like the ones that you see on a lot of boards, a lot of people's choices. It's all in there, and then you get a Big Muff style fuzz, an octave fuzz like an Octavia style, and a fuzz face, and then you get a Tube Screamer drive, a Klon drive, and maybe something else like a Bluesbreaker or something, and then you get a Marshall style overdrive like the BEOD or maybe the Sir Riot, and now you've got, and then you need a compressor and a wah. There you go. Every pedal under the sun, every sound. John says, you're the best. Don't worry about signed stuff, and you manage the chat great. Thanks, John. But we do want to get the stuff signed for the people that, if you get something, and I appreciate that. But if somebody, we got to give people what they wanted. If it said the pedal is going to be signed, somebody's like, I want my pedal signed, I'm going to do it. I'll figure out a way. I screwed up. I made a mistake. You know, we sent some stuff without signing things we were supposed to, so I gotta fix it. And I'll do it, of course, and pay the shipping so that you get what you want. You can even play it for like a week or two and then send it back, and then I'll sign it. I'll send it back to you. Doesn't matter. Yes, yes, yes. Have I ever tried a Fryette power station? Yes, it's great. It's a good product. That's Dave Johnson. Looking to use it with a Marshall 1987. Yeah, don't hesitate. It's a really good piece of gear. Fryette power station. Okay, we're about an hour 30. I'll go another 10 minutes or so. Hang out for a bit, and then I'm gonna split. Tyler says you just moved here from Hawaii. Apologies. I'm sorry. I came to LA from Hawaii. Can I go stay in your place in Hawaii? I'll trade with you. He's in Los Feliz. Don't really know where to go to find good local bands. Any recommendations on places or venues to check out? Well, the Lucky Strike in Hollywood has a few nights a week where they're doing different things. That's a good place. There's a little bit more out towards you, Los Feliz. It's further than you, but it's there's a new bar. I haven't been to it yet, but I want to check it out. It's called the Hi Hat, and it's in Mount Washington, kind of Eagle Rock, out that way. The Hi Hat. Is that right? Is that where it is? It's Mount Washington area. Anyway, kind of east side, and it's supposed to be really cool. There's the Echo, you know, cool places like that. A little Monday Night Jam thing at the Viper Room. Sunset Jam. There's some options. Sweet Daddy says hello. What's up, Sweet Daddy? Thanks for doing another video, he says. You're welcome. Thank you for watching. I'm glad people care. Oh, now in the chat. Skipped. Damn it. I was doing so well. Okay, sorry. Figure out where I am here. Just gonna take a second here and skip back. Lost my place. Okay, sorry guys if I miss here. I'm going to go back to a certain place in the chat here and just start. Ever demoed a KSR amp? No, I have not. Remember sounds amazing in the little snippets you've given us. Funny enough, it has a Jane's Addiction feel. Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Well, Chris played great bass on it. I went over to his house and did it, and he's got an incredible studio in his house. And we just knocked it out, and I think he did 3 takes. And Super Motorcat says, gotta run. Have a great day. See you, Super Motorcat. Does Steve Stevens offer an online guitar class or video that I know of? No, but there's some YouTube videos with lessons and stuff that are pretty good. Just look on YouTube for Steve Stevens guitar lesson. You'll find a bunch of stuff where he teaches some different really cool things. Will the new amp be available via Pledge? No, just traditional kind of SIR dealers. Ted says, have you ever thought about doing a signature telly with SIR? Well, probably just one signature guitar is enough, but it's funny because I have that red dark cherry telly that's basically really similar with mahogany body and neck and maple top. It's got a thicker neck on it than the one I ended up going with on my other guitar, but that's a cool guitar I have. Let's see here. Have I demoed the J-Rocket Melody Drive? I have not. And the Marshall Origin amp line yet? No. I don't really do amp demos. If people, I don't know if it's, I sort of do those amp in the zone videos where I play other amps, but because I've got a signature SIR amp, I haven't done amp demos. That may change in the future. I'm not sure. But so I don't play a ton of other amps. It's mostly pedals on my channel that I do. I have no problems with my Lely ground lifters, but are there any better transformers? Best direct box. I really like the stuff from the Tone Bone stuff, Radial. It's great. They've got that Twin City or something it's called, the AB box with the Bones series one that's got ISO out and phase switch for the second output. It's really good. No reservations about that. Any Radical guitar parts that you'd like to try, like the Evertune bridge? The Evertune is cool, and I would like to have one on one guitar, yeah. I would. How about Helix? Would you use it full time, or is it still a secondary piece? I still want to use amps, but it's a great tool, and it's the right tool for certain gigs, for sure. Back on the Kemper thing here. Matt says the problem with the Kemper is it's a static emulation of an amp, and then it's dialed in a certain way, and that's the sound you're stuck with unless you switch profiles. Yeah, I mean, I've found you can use the little EQ on the Kemper, like, you know, everything shows up at 5 after you do a profile. You can go like a couple clicks either way and kind of tune it in. Still sounds good. But yeah, it's still an amazing device actually for what it is, but still love amps. Have I ever tried putting the reverb to the jumper cable in a plexi? I think I tried that once. That's where you jump from the high input and go into effect and go into the low input of the normal channel. I think it can kind of work. Hey Pete, can't figure out why my guitar sounds really good while monitoring via amp sims, but playback sound sucks. You must not be recording it. Are you using UAD and tracking through console? I have problems sometimes with it where it says I'm recording the plugins, but then it doesn't, and I haven't figured that out. It's one little issue, you know, where you can switch UAD record or UAD monitor in console, and you can pick whether when you've got plugins loaded in console, whether it's printing that sound into your DAW. And I've had it switched on UAD record and then played back the track, and it's like it didn't record the plugin, and I don't know why. Maybe it's a bug. So I'm wondering if that's the issue. Thoughts on the Duncan JB? I like JBs for a certain thing. I used to use them all the time. It was my pickup in the 80s that I was, you know, when I was playing mostly distorted high gain rock. It's a great pickup because it's got lots of mids and drives your amp into overdrive. It's just not a great clean sound, I don't think. Gabrielle says, wait, did he say to get a classical guitar? Well, for that specific purpose. I'm going to play something nice for the ladies. He was asking, and he wants dates. Would I add a capacitor to get more highs, like the old JMP Mark II in a Sur 67? David says. Well, it's a different kind of amp, like a JMP with a master volume. It's just the circuit, you know, something about the master volume Marshalls. They have like this, you know, you turn down the master and stuff, and they get this more edgy, bright thing, and the EQ kind of tends to work differently than on a plexi. So you'd have to have somebody like Dave Friedman that if you want to turn. It's not a hard thing to turn a plexi into a JMP style amp, though. If you want the traditional master. So Jerry Hoop says, respectfully disagree with classical guitar impressing the chicks. In my experience, GNR trumps Bach. Well, it depends where you live. If you're in Fort Lauderdale, but you know, maybe if you're in England or something, I don't know, France, the GNR is not going to work in France. Well, maybe. It just depends. Try and help this guy out, you know. I don't know. Depends on the type of women he's trying to do attract, right? Any new Tim and Pete show in the future? Tim texted me today and said we got to, you know, he got busy, I got busy, and we just haven't had time. We actually had it booked to do one. We were going to do a live stream, and like this. I thought this would be great. We could both have our computers open, do a live stream, maybe to each of our channels at the same time. And kind of like I did with Tor, actually, from TC. And we can knock out a show very quickly that way. So I'm just not sure. I'm so slammed before I go away to a bunch of music to learn for Japan and videos to finish this week. And it's too much to do all the time. Do I keep a guitar tuned down a half step for anything? I have the one right behind me tuned down a half step. This is my... I'm using this on a special demo this week for something. But this is my kind of Van Halen machine, and this is in E flat always, terminally in E flat ever since I got it with nines, because it's kind of my Van Halen thing. Let's see. What's my opinion on Maris pedals? They're great. No, they're not overrated. That's from SOJR. I love the Maris stuff. That I've only really actually tried the reverb, but it's exceptional. Super cool. Okay, guys, gonna go soon. Tell them to buy Thornbuckers. They're great pickups. I love the Thornbucker. I do. Okay. Trying to find a question here. What do I think of systems like the Boss ES5? Great. They did a nice job on their switchers. You get them everywhere. They're a good price. They're built like Boss stuff. You know, they did, you know, like a brick shit house. They do a good job. Okay. You guys are talking amongst yourselves, so I'm just kind of paging down, which is great. I love that. Just trying to find a question. Ever put a compressor after a distortion? Not really. You're just going to raise the noise of the drive and get too hissy. That said, there's no rules. If you can make it work, that's awesome. Let's see here. Worship Guitar is on June 22nd. That's his birthday. Are you still Cancer? I'm a Cancer. I think it's right there on that. Isn't it the 21st or 22nd is the cutoff? Kind of drive pedals work best with a Friedman Dirty Shirley in a 2-rock classic reverb signature. I would say either a Klon or a Tube Screamer will work great for either of those amps. Clean boost or a Klon or a Tube Screamer. Clean boost, colored boost, MIDI boost, some overdrive. Thoughts on a reverse control panel Telecaster? So with the switches over here, that would drive me crazy. Do I think Sir guitars come set up as well as they could be? I'm in Nashville. Surprisingly, there aren't any dealers there, so I'd have to order online. Yeah, dude. I mean, they do. They come set up terrific from the factory. That said, you know, if your guitar is going from California to a humid place, you know, the neck can move. That's just, it's wood, so it's alive. So it's good to be just aware of that and know how to do your own truss rod. The only thing that's really going to change substantially is the truss rod, right? Because it's like everything else is kind of static, but the neck can move. The neck can overbow or underbow and stuff. And so mainly if you're playing your guitar and you find that, whoa, the action's really high now, I need to adjust it. It's like you don't adjust it at the bridge. It's like the only thing that's moved is the neck. Once you action set at the bridge, nothing, right? Nothing else can really change. So the main thing that shifts on a guitar is that neck. And that's, so if you know how to adjust a truss rod and you know how to check the curvature of the neck, you can get a guitar to play. If it once played perfectly, which the Sir will when it leaves the factory, you know, you can get it back to that by just adjusting the neck. That's my opinion, but it's kind of based in some science. I mean, the only thing that's going to move is the curvature of the neck. Can I recommend a small British voiced amp for small gigs around LA? Medium gain. Well, mine's going to be great when it comes out. In the meantime, small British voiced amp. I mean, it depends. The Vox thing, I've got an AC-15. That's fantastic. You know, hand-wired. But you're saying medium, I mean, I think you mean more Marshall. So you probably want to look at stuff like the DSL-40 or the Black Star stuff. That kind of stuff. Friedman makes combos like Dirty Shirley and stuff like that in a combo. Dirty Shirley combo. That could be good. You know, like a 112. Edward says, I've enjoyed your music and your mini reviews. GitCon was cool. Are you still friends with Trisha Laree? That was my ex. We made a record together. He says, I enjoyed the work you do with her. I haven't talked to her for years, to tell you the truth. No hard feelings, really, but you know how it goes. You rock for doing this kind of thing, said Yago. Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, I'm just going to answer a couple more and then go, you guys, but we're an hour and 45 minutes. It's time for lunch, and then I got to get to work. I'm working on a demo right now for a nice overdrive pedal. I'll show it to you. Give these guys some love. It's the Chocolate Overdrive, and this is available from WD Music in the States. It's a Japanese-made pedal. Sounds really good. Sounds great driving a dirty amp. Sounds great overdriving a clean amp. You can do smooth kind of bluesy stuff with it. You can also, use it as you would maybe a tube screamer, but it's flatter in the mids. It doesn't have those forward mids. Like, it's got bass and treble controls, and then a volume and gain. Really good sounding pedal. So I recorded the whole demo yesterday and stuff, so that'll be coming this week. And I'm gonna finish that up today, as well as some other stuff. I'll show you a couple more here. Here's one this is the brown sugar. This came from Brazil. And, many times I get pedals where I don't know, like, I'm like, ooh, I hope this sounds good. And I plugged it in, it sounds really good, actually. So, kind of Marshall-y, ampy. It's got bass, middle, and treble controls and a volume and a gain. So I'll get this one done this week. And Aura Amps from Brazil. That's who that came from. And then I've got this compressor pedal here as well, the Compi, from the same folks that make the Horus Overdrive. I don't know how to say his name. Chelly? Oh, I feel bad. Got a picture of a dinosaur on it. And green knobs. But, so, compressor pedal. So I've got all those to get to this week. And some other stuff I can't talk about yet because it hasn't been released. But working on all that stuff. Let's see. Okay, just 4 or 5 more questions here. Have I ever played mayonnaise guitars? Mayonnaise guitars? No, I haven't. Mayonnaise. The Rush Working Man sound in a can. I would probably get a Marshall pedal. Get pretty close with, you have to try different ones. But these days I tend to recommend the LaGrange, the one from Ramble FX, the Marshall one from that company is really good. Something like that. That's plexi-ish. Probably Sir Riot Reloaded. You could get pretty close to that tone. Icelayer 666 Satan says we need more live sessions every Sunday. That's true, except for last Sunday. I missed last week, but I should be. Oh shit! You know what? I can't do it next week either because I'm going to be going to Japan on Sunday. So you guys will have to come up with a different time next week. Okay, I'll post it on my Facebook page and figure out a way to make it up. I'll be jet lagged when I get over there and stuff, so I'll be up at weird times and probably make it work. But yeah, so next week, not going to be able to make it. Have you ever played Kiesel guitars? I have not. Marvel Drive, that's the one from Ramble Effects. That's a really good plexi style pedal. If you need a plexi style tone, the Rush thing, Working Man. Can the Radar or other IR loaders get a room sound like the aux? No. It's just short IR, so you'll need to use a short room reverb of some sort. That's a special thing on the aux, doing the kind of the room mic thing kind of is one of the things it does really well. Favorite thing to do to get away from music? I work on Japanese a lot these days. I love it. Studying another language. That or arguing politics on Twitter. No, I hate that. But, yeah. Watching my favorite TV programs. Traveling. Let's see here. Post on Insta too, says Jennifer. Facebook is practically useless now for pages. I totally agree. I will post it on Instagram. The next time I'll do some sort of, put up a picture or something. About the next live stream time. We'll figure it out. Edward says, thanks for today. Thank you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Ever played a KSR amp, says Matt. No, I haven't. Do I use silicone fuzzes to avoid buffer issues? Yes. That's from Jose. On my board I have a Boss fuzz that I love, actually. I love the tone of it. But doesn't do that. There's no way to get that fuzz face thing where you roll down and it cleans up and all glassy. You just can't do it with a buffer. So you either need to use a muff style fuzz or a modern style fuzz. My other favorite fuzz is the this guy right here is killer. Starlight from Crazy Tube Circuits. Give them a pump. Gotta try this. if you haven't tried it. It's kind of the fuzz for people that don't like fuzz or don't get it, but it kind of sounds like a fat distortion at lower levels, and then at higher gain, it's like, oh, it's definitely a fuzz, but this pedal is awesome. I turned Peter Frampton onto this, and he uses it now. I know that. Really, it's a really great sounding fuzz pedal. 2-position gain switch here, and then it's gain, volume, tone. This will work great with buffers. The Sir Rufus fuzzes work well with buffers as well. Mike Johnson's typed some hiragana, and I can read it. It says sugoi. Sugoi. See, that's how I read, like a 3-year-old. But that's what that says, Mike Johnson. Sugoi, which means cool, like awesome. Sugoi. You tried the Throwback Overdrive Boost or Mulholland Drive? I haven't. I've made demos of those, actually. Uh-oh, Mike typed more. Oh, there's a little bit of... I can't read that one character, Mike, because it's not hiragana. Motsu. Sorry. I read like a 3-year-old. Anyway. Okay, Chris says, would you consider making a short lesson on how to write guitar instrumental? I've been thinking about doing that for a while, like maybe breaking down one of the songs I did on my record, and I'll consider it, yeah. Coming up with something cool. Ever try a Foxrocks Octron? Great pedal. Great. Gnarly sounding, awesome octave pedal, yes. I love the Octron. And John was asking about the Throwback Overdrive or Mulholland Drive. I've got demos of both of those, actually, both in my Vintage King playlist many years ago. Great pedals. What do I think of the Hughes & Kettner Triumph Mark III? It was okay. I played it at GitCon. I didn't really bond with it. Yeah. So Simto says trying to learn Japanese too. Moving there in August. Can't wait. I'm going I'll be there till August. So our paths may cross. Any thoughts on Kingsley pedals? Haven't really tried them. Kurt says he got a Starlight after watching me demo it. Oyasumi Nasai is good night, and arigatos, thank you. That's all true. Did you write Oyasumi Nasai? Is that what you wrote before? No, that's not what that says. Arigato. Oh, this says something else. That does say arigato. Go. Sorry, guys, I'm off on Japanese now. Go. Zaimotsu. Oh, gozaimasu. I got it. That says arigato gozaimasu. Thanks, Mike. I'm practicing Japanese while doing my live chat. That's rad. All right, you guys. I gotta run. You guys have an awesome rest of your day and weekend and all that good stuff. And I will post on Instagram as well as Facebook and stuff. But we're rescheduling next week's. And next week I'll be coming to you from somewhere in Tokyo. And we'll do it. Okay. Once again, just before I go, if there's anybody here that wasn't here earlier, we made mistakes this week for the PledgeMusic people. We sent out some pedals and pickups to some of the people that got in the pledge thing. They were all supposed to be signed. Some of them weren't signed. So we're going to make it right. You've already got an email in your inbox probably saying, here's some options. We're going to figure out how to take care of you guys. And we apologize. It was our oversight. And we'll, at our expense for shipping and stuff, if you want to send the pedal back, have it signed, or pickups, have it signed, go ahead and do that, and we'll take care of it for you. Get it back to you ASAP. Or I'll write you like I said, I'll write you a crazy card or something like that. Or I'll write you a letter. Whatever you want, I'll do it. Basically, short of coming to clean your house, I'm not going to do that. But we'll take care of you. You guys have an awesome rest of your Sunday, and take care. Talk to you soon. Thanks for being here. Bye.